Hey everyone, this is episode 3 of the Afterglow podcast, and today we're going to be checking out an old classic of mine, Mega Man 3. Got a lot of good stories on this one, and you can catch them after the music break. So, for those out there who actually know me, I am a huge fan of the Mega Man franchise. And this game is one that really got me into it. So let's go back a little bit. Years ago, whenever I was, and I can't even remember how old I was. It couldn't have. I was still in single digits. I want to say 7 or 8. I had gone to stay for a couple weeks with my uncle, who was a teenager at the time, and he had an NES, and he had Mega Man 2. And Mega Man 2 was a fun game. I played it some, and it was pretty good. But we went to a rental store, and they had Mega Man 3, and we rented it, and oh my god, it was a blast. And I remember at the time he had an issue of Nintendo Power that had a cheat that you could use where if you fell down a pit, I believe you held down on the second player's controller and you could jump back out of the bottomless pit. You would have no energy and the music would be gone, but you would be invincible as long as you did not pick up any energy pellets. If you picked up energy pellets, then you could take damage and die again, if I remember correctly. Feel free to write in if I'm wrong on that. But we did not beat the game, even with a cheat. I think we got through all 8 Robot Masters. And in this game, whenever you beat the new Robot Masters, it would make 4 new levels that would have 2 robots each that had the abilities of the bosses in Mega Man 2. It was pretty cool whenever you fought them, actually, because their sprite for Mega Man 2 would drop down on top of this like big robot with like a skull on it, and they would come at you with the abilities that they had from Mega Man 2. Now, I guess I should explain here, in Mega Man, if you haven't played a Mega Man, what rock have you been under? But anyhow, in that game, every time you beat a Robot Master, you get that robot's ability, their weapon, if you will. So you more or less had to retrain yourself, if you were familiar with Mega Man 2, on how to beat Mega Man 2 bosses with the Mega Man 3 weapons, because each boss has a weakness to a different boss's weapon. So anyway, I played that game until we had to take it back. I spent all night playing this game. I was addicted. To this day, Mega Man 3 is my favorite of the 8-bit NES games. I know a lot of people love 2. For me, I mean, I love the music in 2, but the gameplay in 3 I much prefer. And I prefer the much expanded gameplay options. More levels. Even the story I enjoyed more. Now, going back at the opening of the podcast, I did play the intro. To me, that is the one kind of drawback to 3. Mega Man 2 had a cool intro, set of some really cool music. I feel that the music for the intro of Mega Man 3 is even better, but there's no actual intro. It just brings up a title screen. And later on, you come to find out that the development of Mega Man 3 was really rushed. Ha ha, inside joke. But If you know, you know. The Mega Man 3 development was rushed, and because of that, they cut some features, and apparently, Nice Animated Intro was one of those features. So I went back home after that trip, and I had a subscription to Nintendo Power as well. And over my time with my uncle, that issue had come in, the one that had Mega Man 3 on the cover. And I've got such fond memories of that issue of Nintendo Power. Memories that are so fond that to this day in my game room, I have a metal uh, poster. It's like a tin poster, if you would, of that cover in Nintendo Power. I've only got two metal posters in Nintendo Power, the one with Mega Man 3 on the cover and the one with Super Mario 3 on the cover. But even though I love this game so much, I never could find it. Um, at the time, the rental store that we were going to didn't have it, but I had a friend that had Mega Man 2. So because of that, I would go to his place and I would play a lot of Mega Man 2, and I learned to appreciate that game. I do really, really like it. I do think it's a much better title than Mega Man 1, and Mega Man 2 will probably get its own episode later in the series, but I still much preferred 3. So let's fast forward now. 5 years, roughly. I probably would have been 13, maybe 14. The rental store finally got a copy of it in the town that we had moved to. But at this point, I had Sega Genesis, and I was more interested in running those Sega games. But they finally did have a copy, at least. Fast forward maybe about 3 or 4 years after that, I was probably 17 or 18. That very rental store started clearancing out all their NES games and selling them. And that is when I finally purchased my copy of Mega Man 3. And at this point, I had replaced my NES. Well, I didn't. My parents replaced our NES. We had the top loader. And I amassed a huge NES collection from that rental store because they clearanced their games out dirt cheap. And a horrible habit, if you're a kid listening to this, don't actually do this, but I would go without eating lunch. I would use my lunch money to buy those NES games and build my collection. I got so many good games from that rental store as they were getting rid of their NES games to focus more on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I must have easily bought 40 or 50 games from there. They really amped my NES collection. Now, unfortunately, there are no boxes with them. You literally were only buying a cartridge, but I've got a lot of memories, and it just came to me that rental store was called Hometown Video, and it was in Oakland City, Indiana. So if you remember it, if you happen to be around, leave a note in the comments. But that's when I finally got my copy of Mega Man 3. Never did actually beat the game fairly on the NES. I did beat it on the NES with the help of the Game Genie because I'm a dirty cheater. I didn't even use the cheat where you could hold down on the second controller. I just cheated using the Game Genie. I did finally beat the game legitimately. Maybe 3 or 4 years later, I'd gotten an emulation on my PC, and I started emulating Mega Man 3, and got into it real hard again. And finally beat it. Emulating it on my PC using that Microsoft Sidewinder controller that I've probably mentioned in a couple of episodes of this podcast already. So, now going back forward a bit, I did legitimately buy it again. At this point, I was married. Still am married. I don't know why I said was. My wife will kill me. Please don't reach out to her. But I'm married, and we were living in Petersburg. And I had gotten the Mega Man collection off eBay for the GameCube. And I went through and I beat Mega Man 1 through 6 in order on that GameCube disc using a GameCube controller. And if I remember right, the jump and shoot buttons were kind of reversed in that controller, so it was tricky. But I did eventually beat all 6 games, including Mega Man 3. And then finally, I repurchased the Steam version. Um, there's a Mega Man Legacy Collection, and I bought it there, and I also rebeat all 6 games on there. And to this day, that is my last playthrough of Mega Man 3 until I finally get the itch to go back and play it again. But I love that entire series. On the NES, 3 is easily my favorite. Although, whenever I was younger, I never played past the 3rd game. 4, 5, and 6, I didn't know exist, to be honest with you, until I started collecting NES games. And I'm like, there's more? And I played 4, 5, and 6, and I did enjoy those too. 4, with the ability to charge at Buster, was really cool. And I think it was 6 where you got the ability to have the dog rush, and now you know the joke from earlier. The robot dog rush would turn into armor on Mega Man and give him different abilities. He had like a flight armor. They had like one that gave him a really, really strong Buster Arm attack. And there might have been a 3rd one. I can't remember off the top of my head. But still, the 3rd game is one I always gravitate to. Just the ability to let him slide in that game opened up a lot of new gameplay options. In my opinion, it opened up more options than Mega Man 4 did, being able to charge his attack with a Buster shot. I feel like the slide gave you more mobility, for one, the ability to slide under enemies, and the slide was a bit faster than his run, too. So if you're trying to speed through an area, it's actually in your benefit to slide, but if you're sliding, you can't attack. So there's a little bit of give and take there, and I really love that about this game. But that's going to end my thoughts on Mega Man 3. We're still doing the slow introduction of this podcast, but apparently we already have 5 listeners. So if you're out there listening, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble on about video games. I appreciate it, and I hope I'm entertaining you in some way. But until then, we'll see you on the next episode of Afterglow. Thanks for listening.